Today it is raining and it is the perfect day to strip an old piece of furniture. And what do you know? I've got one right here. And why, do you say, is a rainy day a good day to strip a piece of furniture? Well, for one, can't do anything else, so let's do this. And two, there's no way that we can refinish this today, but we can certainly strip it. It doesn't matter what the weather is outside. So let's get started. First of all, this piece is really old. I have no idea how old it is. It's got chipping around the edges from years and years of use. The thing that shocked me the most on this was the top drawers, where people have grabbed them over the years to open them. Their fingernails have taken chunks out of the tops of these old drawers, and it's pretty amazing to see. So I've got a client who has asked me to refinish these, and I am not a professional refinisher, so I've had to do a little bit of research to get started. And the first thing you've got to do is figure out what kind of finish is used. And online, there's a bunch of things that tell you what you can do. So if you are interested in those, look at those online. But what I did to check and see, because I was pretty sure it was shellac, was to use in an inconspicuous spot, so maybe the lower leg, somewhere on the piece that you're not going to see if you really screw it up. So you want to use lacquer thinner. And the reason that you use that is because if it's shellac, it's going to make it loose, it's going to get sticky, it's going to come off. If it is varnish, polyurethane, it's not going to come off, and so you're going to have to do other things to take that off. You're going to have to use paint removers or whatever it is that you want to do to get that off. But shellac is a nice one because the shellac will liquefy if you use the lacquer thinner. It takes a while, as you're going to see, to get all of that off. But the key here is clean, clean, clean. Get all of it off, or as much of it as you possibly can, from all the little cracks, all the little crevices. And since they use shellac, I'm gonna reuse shellac. Now, I don't always do that. Oftentimes, if I'm refinishing a piece of furniture, let's say a dining room table, I really don't like shellac because you put a cup on a dining room table that's shellacked and that cup's gonna leave a white ring. We've gotten pieces from wherever. We put a cup down somewhere and boom, we've got this big ugly white ring and the thing is ruined. It has to be redone. So I like to use polyurethane varnish. I'm a big fan of oil base, even though it's kind of not as cool anymore because of the yellow tint to it and whatnot, but it is just so durable that if you use the oil-based varnishes, a spar varnish, maybe even something nautical on the top of a kitchen table or a countertop, that stuff really holds up. So back to what we're doing today. Let's start cleaning this sucker. So like I said, I am not a professional furniture refinisher. I am a school teacher. I actually teach high school English. But what I'm seeing as I do this is that by using a rag to wipe off the excess as it liquefies, I'm able to kind of expedite this process a little bit. What I've noticed is that it kind of liquefies and turns gummy as you go. So it makes it kind of like a gummy surface. And once that gummy surface stops happening, you've gotten all the shellac off. Let me see if I can show you the gumminess with the camera. You can't really see it as much as you can feel it. So this is kind of gummy here. And when we hit it with a little bit more of the lacquer thinner, it liquefies again. And then we can wipe it off. And as we wipe it off, you can also feel the stickiness because the rag kind of sticks. And once that rag stops sticking, then we know we've gotten all the shellac off of there. And do we want to get it all off? Well, as much as we can. The neat thing about shellac is that it will re-liquefy when we put on the new stuff, and they just kind of become one. But if you have any of the nasty old stuff like in these corners, if you have any of that stuff down in there, you will see it when you go to refinish it. So does the back of a piece really matter? Not really, but to me, since this is for a client that I've done a lot of great work for, and I really enjoy her as a person, and I kind of want to see what I can do with it, and just see if we can make the back of this piece, even though no one's ever going to see it, into something that's beautiful just like the rest of it. So today is my favorite part. We've prepped everything, we've gotten this whole piece ready to go. And today is the day we do the finish work. Now, it's always tempting to hurry when we get here because we just want to see what it's going to look like. So we got to be super careful not to do that. I'm going to wipe everything down again really well. Make sure that there's nothing that I don't want to see really strongly or really brightly when I finish it, because that stuff will just glow once you get that finish on there. But after that's done, we'll be finishing this, and we'll do a time lapse of that so you can watch that happen. Since this is the first time I've worked with shellac, and because I don't know if it's as magical as what they say it is as far as blending itself, we're gonna try it out underneath first, and we're gonna do the legs while we're there, make sure we get all of the things that aren't that visible, and then we'll start on the top. We're gonna go ahead and start on the top now. I gotta put 3 coats there, probably only about 2 coats on the sides, but I like to put that extra coating on the top just for extra protection. So one of the things I didn't expect when I was working with the shellac is how quickly it gets a film on it or dries. And so when you're working with shellac, you got to work really fast and put really thin coats on. And also, I was using a foam brush, and I'm really not liking the results with the foam brush, so I'm going to switch to a fine brush for my final coats. The foam seems to kind of grab a hold of the piece and kind of jump a little bit. And that's going to put some texture that you don't want. As you get to that final coat, I would definitely switch to a nice fine brush. So here we are still working on this thing, and all of it looks great, but I still can't get it just like I wanted on the top. I tried the fine bristle brush and it really didn't get it where I wanted it either. So I did some more research, and by research I just mean I Googled it. And somebody says that you've got to make your own brush when you're working with shellac, because shellac is not varnish. I was trying to put it on the way you put on varnish, maybe a little bit thick, but that doesn't work with shellac. Shellac is thin coats, lots and lots of thin coats. So you make yourself a rag with either a rag or cotton ball stuffed into it, and you make this little thing that looks kind of like a ghost. And they say you just apply it in really, really thin layers. So I'm gonna try this and we'll see how it goes. What I read online is that you are supposed to thin this stuff out with some denatured alcohol. It actually said to do it for best finish anyway, but I was kind of afraid to for the whole thing because it's already so thin. And this stuff said you didn't need to. But we're gonna, at this point, to make sure that this final coat is as beautiful as it can be. So I think we'll just go like kind of a half and half blend here. So these old drawers actually slide pretty well, and there's nothing mechanical in them, it's just wood. But one little trick that can make them work really well and make these drawers feel a whole lot better than they did when they came to me is an old candle or a crayon, anything made out of wax. All you have to do is take the drawer out, and the area that touches the sliding surface of the dresser, wherever that is, whether it's in the center or on the side, just wax it up. So the last and final step, when I got this thing, the drawers were full of wrapping paper. And I don't mean like they were storing it there, but they were using it to cover up the bottoms of the drawers. So that leads me to think that they were worried about the bottoms of these drawers making their clothing dirty. And so I do want to spend a little bit of time inside of the drawers, making them ready for clothes again. So I'm gonna rub some beeswax inside of these drawers, clean them up, make it really nice, and then we're finished. The best thing about taking something old and making it new again, or making something new out of it, is the things that we learn along the way. So let's review what we learned this time. First of all, we learned that you can tell what they used for finishing just by using a little denatured alcohol or a little bit of lacquer thinner. Put it on an inconspicuous spot and see if it rubs off the finish. If it does, it's probably shellac. Second thing that we learned is shellac is definitely not polyurethane varnish. You can't put it on with a brush. You can't put it on thick at all. It has to go on super thin. So you make your own brush out of a rag and put on coat after coat after coat after coat. And if you do it and you're patient, it comes out absolutely gorgeous. Thanks for watching today, and thank you for using old stuff instead of buying new stuff. Asheville Salvage Lab. Find it, fix it, keep it.